Okay, so today I watched all 10 episodes of the first season of Batman Cape Crusader, which is the new Batman series and that, which originally was meant to be on HBO Max, but thankfully this thing got saved from being a tax write-off and actually ended up on Amazon Prime, and I'm glad it is. So I'm going to try and be as spoiler-free as possible in this, so to get things out of the way, I would recommend watching this series. I really would. Um, yeah, there's not really much I can really say other than if you were hoping it would be like Batman the Animated Series, like there are elements there to it, but I wouldn't put it anywhere near that type of level. So if you're expecting that, no. At times on that, it kind of feels similar, very similar, like in tone and feel to a lot of the Batman direct-to-video films that Warner Brothers has been putting out, particularly more recent years. But yeah, I am going to talk about it, and I'm mainly going to talk about some of the issues and that I have with the series. So I think the episodes here, apart from the last couple of episodes, pretty much every episode this season is basically a villain of the week story, and that, which isn't a problem because it means you get introduced to, a lot of, returning sort of iconic villains, but most of them here, like I'd say, about at least half of them and that are ones that generally, you either are just completely unheard of and that, well, pretty much all unheard of. So, yeah, but obviously there are some problems here in doing that, in that it all feels a bit tightly compacted into basically, 25-minute episodes. Well, if you don't include the credits, it's more like 22 minutes. So, yeah, sometimes with some villains, it feels like it's just pushed a little bit. I'll give you an example. For example, Harley Quinn in this series. Now, something they do with Harley Quinn, which I like, is that they do the thing where she is introduced and that's before, her dedicated episode. They do introduce her and that beforehand. However, I think the problem is that I don't think they really do enough with her. And obviously, they can do more with her in that next season, but I think there's a problem that a lot of the villains have in that there's not a lot of time to really develop them. Like, for example, we only have her in her, minor spoiler alert, but it's not really, but she only appears in her, as Harley Quinn or the Jester. She calls herself one. She never actually called like Harley Quinn as in Harlequin and that in the episode books. Basically, she only wears it for a couple of scenes and that's it. I mean, if you look at the pitch and that for this, the whole point was, oh, it's meant to be a flip on Harley Quinn where basically she's all, nice, bubbly and happy and that when she's a therapist, in a therapist mode, and then when she's Harley Quinn, she's meant to be scary. And I can see kind of what they were trying to get across in this, but to a lesser extent, to the fact that, she doesn't appear that much on screen. And also, for this being called Batman Cape Crusader, really it should be called Gotham Cape, with Batman Cape Crusader. Not that Batman isn't in it a lot, he is, but it feels like, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but the problem is Batman himself feels like Bruce Wayne doesn't feel like he gets that much development in there or enough screen time in there, because most of the screen time is on the GCPD, like various members, particularly Gordon and Montoya for most of its running time. And I do enjoy having them there, but I don't know, it just kind of feels like we don't know this Batman that much. Like, things that particularly make him distinctive and that from other ones. And it also feels at times like the 1940s, which is when this is set, like the aesthetic of that, it just kind of feels like an aesthetic just for an aesthetic's sake, to just differentiate it and that. Because it certainly doesn't really feel like the 40s, other than, again, the aesthetic of it. Like Batman the Animated Series, could arguably take place in any type of time frame, and that, well, as long as it's not past the 1990s, but, it was kind of a noir type thing, but wasn't set in any particular time or era. And I think that's what they were trying to go for here. And it just kind of feels a little bit, surface, thing. I'm kind of rambling on a bit. This is why I call it thoughts of watching, because I don't write any of this on. This was my pure thoughts after watching this. I will say, though, for some stuff, like, I do like the new Clayface that they did, and also the fact that they didn't hold back from the violence in this, believe that pitch that was released, the news article that released, yes, Clayface in this version, is a serial killer. And I do quite like, his design and that in this, and I do like most of the designs in this. I think the only one that I'm not a big fan of is the Two-Face design. And not that it's bad, I just don't think it's as, it's, I don't know, less interesting. Also, interestingly, the fact that his scarring's on the opposite side to how it normally is. Yeah, it's the other way around. Normally it's on his left-hand side, whereas this time it's on his right-hand side, so yeah, there's that. And then there's obviously the big thing where they've gender swapped the Penguin. And it's just one of those things where it, I do like the performance, and I did think it was, a good take on it, but it kind of feels like this was just done for the sake of it. Like, it feels like it was just done for the sake of it, and nothing else. Because most of, the character is basically almost pretty much identical to, like, the regular Penguin. Even the looks more like the Penguin, but in drag. So, yeah, it just feels like doing a gender swap for the sake of doing it. It kind of feels like, which is never really a good reason for doing anything. Just because you can do something, doesn't always mean you should. I'm not saying it was bad in this situation, but it just feels like, could be an either or, type of thing here. But yeah, there was just aspects of this and that which were expanded upon, because it just feels like they had an idea of, okay, we're going to have these Villain of the Week episodes, and that all going to be, self-contained in that. And then we are, have a finale type thing. I mean, the only real arcs that happen this season is basically there's Harvey Dent, who's running for mayor, and generally, the crime and corruption in Gotham, basically. Like, for example, Harvey Bullock, this time around, is a corrupt cop who's working for Rupert Thorne, and yeah, those kind of things, those elements there, are basically, the thing that kind of keeps the narrative and that going throughout this series. In terms of the animation here, while there are bits of it that feel a bit ropey and stilted at times, where it kind of feels like, oh, what's happening here, that it's very, just mouth movements and everything else on screen is frozen. But as it gets on, the animation does get a lot better and more ambitious. And that, so, yeah, not ridiculously so. But I'd say the animation for this is overall decent. Nothing amazing and that, but I would say it was decent and that. So, yeah. I don't know if this happened with anyone. I don't know if it was just my sound system or what. But in terms of a technical issue, there are several points in these episodes when a character's talking and they'll say, sometimes it's not even a full line, it's just like a word, and it's only a lower volume. And then it goes back to normal. And it's really weird that happens. I really don't know why that happens, but there are a few occasions when that does happen. I don't know why. Yeah, it's odd. It's odd that happens. Because I don't think it happened in the first episode, but I did start picking it up from the second episode onwards, and there was like at least one moment in every episode where that would happen. So, a bit bizarre there. Again, I don't know if that was just me, but it was something there. But yeah, I think at times in that it does feel like they are trying to cram too much in this episode. And I would like to get, more of a continuation of like the characterization and that of Bruce Wayne here. Because again, we don't know that much about them. I was hoping the fact that Bruce Wayne becomes Harley's client for therapy for an episode. I thought that would get into it. Unfortunately, it didn't. It was basically just for that one episode. It would have been nice if maybe they, spread that out throughout the series or done some more with it, but unfortunately, no. And I kind of feel that was a bit of a missed potential. But yeah, without spoiling anything more, I can't really go into more details than that. But I'd say overall, this is a pretty good Batman series. It has its flaws, and I think I think it works best in the final two episodes. Like, the final two episodes, I think, work a lot better, mainly because it's taking its time a bit more, because it's essentially the last couple of episodes are two-parter, essentially. And with that, it's able to spread its narrative out a bit more. And it doesn't have to feel like it has to squash everything into this, 25-minute runtime. So, yeah, I think that's also the downside of just, modern animated TV shows where they've only got, modern streaming shows and that, where they've only got a handful of episodes to do things. So, yeah, it wasn't a disaster or anything like that, but still. But, yeah, looking forward to another season of this.